Alright mate, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of IMO. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my Premier League predictions for the 2016-17 season. And if last year's predictions are anything to go by, I'm going to absolutely smash this. Because last year, I accurately predicted Leicester City to finish 17th. And that, what? Leicester finished first last year. And I predicted 17th. I mean, that's pretty close. I mean, come on. Let's predict things. Yes, that's right, we're back again for another Premier League season. Time for me to predict where each of the 20 Premier League clubs will finish in the table. Hoping to do better than last year, which overall was alright, but Leicester, obviously, I massively missed the boat on that one. Said they finished 17th, they finished first. I'm not going to allow any big slip-ups like that this time around, though. A lot of you have been asking for this video for a while. The reason that I've waited this long to do it is because I've been waiting to see what transfers get made, because obviously that's going to massively affect where teams finish in the table. So, let's crack on. Let's start off with the bottom three. So, these are the three teams I'm predicting to get relegated this season. There's only one team in here that I'm really confident will go down. The other two is a bit of a gamble. But Hull City, I think, are going to finish bottom of the league and go straight back down again. There's a number of reasons for this. They've just lost their manager, Steve Bruce, who's not happy with the way the club's going at the moment. You know, is there new ownership coming in? He doesn't know if he can buy anyone. They've literally done almost zero business, which they needed to do some business if they're going to stay up in the Premier League. They've sold Diarme to Newcastle, one of their better players. So it's not looking good for Hull, in my opinion. I think they're going to go straight back down. I'm also thinking that Burnley aren't going to be able to cope with life back in the Premier League. They've also just come up, so I think they're going to go down. I could be wrong about that one, but we'll see. And the third team I'm predicting to go down this season is actually West Bromwich Albion. Now, this was a difficult one because Tony Pulis is a really solid manager. Traditionally, he doesn't get teams relegated, but I just don't think their squad is strong enough. There's a good chance Berahino might still leave as well. Just like Burnley and Hull, I don't feel like they've strengthened their team enough, and I'm going to go with West Brom, Burnley and Hull to be relegated. Now, if we look at 17th to 11th place, you can see who I'm predicting to finish in the bottom half of the table but still be safe in the league. Bournemouth had an impressive debut season in the Premier League under the young manager Eddie Howe. I think they're going to stay up again. I think they're going to be safe, but I think they're going to find it a little bit harder second time around. They've lost Matt Ritchie. I actually think he was a good player. I'm surprised he's dropped down to Newcastle to be in the Championship, but he's gone. They've brought in a few Liverpool youngsters like Jordan Ibe and Brad Smith, who could be decent, but I still don't feel like their squad is enough to take them up a level and to do better than last year. I think they're going to stay up, but just stay up. As for Sunderland, who've been narrowly avoiding relegation for a number of years in a row now, they've got a new manager, David Moyes. Losing Big Sam is a big problem for them because he's so good at keeping teams up. But I think David Moyes is going to do a big job. I don't think he's finished bringing players in. I think he's got a few more transfers up his sleeve, and I think he's going to keep them up. And Middlesbrough are the other newly promoted team. I think they're going to do okay. They've made some really good signings. I'm predicting them to finish 15th. They've got the likes of Negredo up top now, ex-Man City striker. They've got Victor Fischer from Ajax, which I think is a really good signing, and two decent goalkeepers, Brad Guzan and Victor Valdez, both with a lot of experience. I think they're going to keep them up. Moving on, I'm predicting Watford to cement their place in the Premier League with a sort of so-so season, finishing around the 14th spot. Swansea's a difficult one, okay, because it could go either way for me. I think they're selling some really good players. They've obviously lost Andre Ayew to West Ham. At the time of recording this, they haven't lost Ashley Williams, but I think he could be leaving any second. He's a huge part of their defence. And let's not forget, Bafétimbi Gomi's got some vital goals from at the start of the season with that celebration, which we all loved. He's left. They've signed some okay players. Fernando Llorente is a good striker, but he's getting a bit older. Leroy Fur's been signed on a permanent deal. For me, they could struggle, but I'm going to back them, and I'm going to say they're going to finish around 13th. As for Southampton, I see them struggling a lot more this year with the loss of Ronald Koeman, their manager, as well as selling Mane. It's another good player they've sold, man. They've been selling players, like decent starter players for their team over the last few summers, and most times they've bounced back pretty well and defied the critics, but I think this could be a bridge too far for Southampton. I don't think they're going to struggle to retain their place in the league, but I don't think we're going to see them in the top 10 this season. No Wanyama this year, no Graziano Pella either. They've still got decent striker options with Shane Long and Charlie Austin, but for me, their team's not as good as it was last year. In 11th place, I'm going with Crystal Palace. Now, they are looking to do some very big business, okay? They've obviously already signed Andros Townsend. They've taken James Tompkins from West Ham, but it looks like Balassi is going to be leaving, although Benteke could be coming in. Again, at the time of recording this, those deals haven't been done yet, but looks like they may well get done. And that's a good signing for them if they do get Benteke, because they need an outlet up front, a proper main striker to build their team around. He could be that guy. I was hoping West Ham would sign him personally. Steve Mandanda is another decent goalkeeper addition as well, so I think they're going to do well. I think they've got the squad to potentially do better and go into the top 10. But I'm not a massive fan of their manager, Alan Pardew. I think he has peaks and troughs, and I think 11th is where I'm going to put Palace. Now, let's take a look at 10th to 7th place. In 10th place, I'm going with Stoke. They've got a decent squad. They had one last year as well. I think they're going to continue to do well under Mark Hughes. They haven't done a lot of business, but that's usually a sign of a manager who's quite happy with the team he's got. They've brought in Joe Allen, though, which I think is a lovely little buy from Liverpool. He wasn't for Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp didn't want him there, but he's a good player to take in at any Premier League club, in my opinion. He works hard. He had a really good Euros. Joe Allen will do well for Stoke, I think, and they're going to get a mid-table finish. In 9th place, I've gone with my boys, West Ham United. We've been one of the most active clubs in the transfer window this summer, and we had to be, because we needed to strengthen our squad, because all being well, we'll be playing in the Europa League proper if we get through the playoff rounds, and that's very taxing on your squad. You know, Thursday night and then a weekend game, it can take a lot out of you. So we needed a deeper squad, and we've made some really good signings. Faguli on a free transfer, excellent. Gökhan Toure on loan. Arvid Norvite from Mönchengladbach. This was the captain of Mönchengladbach, the same club that Xhaka came from and went to Arsenal. Not to mention Andre Ayew from Swansea, amongst other signings as well. Our squad's looking a lot better than it did this time last year, when we had the likes of Maiga, Kevin Nolan, and these guys still in the squad. However, I think playing on too many fronts is ultimately going to stop us from kicking on in the league and doing better than we did last year. So I'm going to say 9th is where we're going to finish. If, however, it doesn't go well in the Europa League and we get knocked out either in the qualifier or in the group stage, and then we can kick on in the league, we could do better than 9th, but such is the quality of the new managers and new signings from the big clubs this year, I think it's going to be even harder for a club like West Ham to penetrate that sort of top 6 area. In 8th, I'm going with Everton. I think they're going to be much improved from last year, where they massively underperformed under Roberto Martinez. Yes, they've lost John Stones, but if they get in Ashley Williams, like for like, in terms of how good they are right now, Ashley Williams is probably better than John Stones. John Stones is a potential signing for the future, lots of potential in my opinion, but I don't think they've done badly with that swap. If they hold on to Lukaku, who's obviously still got some admirers, I still think their team is decent, and I think they can do a lot better than last year under Ronald Koeman, who's proven that he knows how to get the best out of the squad and get them to finish around that part of the table. So they could even do better than 8th, but I'm going to go with Everton in 8th. In 7th place, I've got last year's league winners, Leicester. Okay, this is a really difficult one to choose this year, because again, I think you could choose pretty much anywhere in the league bar relegation for these guys, because you could argue they're going to do really well again in the league. They've kept most of their important players, albeit having lost Kante to Chelsea, which is a huge loss, by the way. However, they're also playing in the Champions League this year, which could absolutely kill them. Their squad, you know, they brought in some new players, but it's not super deep. They used the least amount of players in the Premier League last year. They're going to have to use a lot more this year in order to keep people fresh, and it could work against them. That, coupled with the fact that all the big clubs have brought in some huge reinforcements, I think it's going to be too much for Leicester to compete with them this year, and I'm going with 7th, which I think Leicester fans will be really happy with. You know, continue to their progression. It was a bit of a freak season last year, but finishing 7th this year and then kicking on in the years in the future, it shows a huge sign of kind of progression and advancement for Leicester City Football Club. Now, I'm going to take a look at 6th and 5th place. Who have I predicted to miss out on the top 4? Let's have a look. Yes, I'm going with the 2 North London clubs. I think Spurs and Arsenal aren't going to make it in the top 4. Spurs had a fantastic season last year, and they were pushing Leicester all the way in the title race, albeit eventually finishing in 3rd. However, competing in the Champions League this year is going to be a big distraction for them. I still think the Spurs squad is very strong. Again, you know, Pochettino's not done a lot of business, which I think is a sign that he's happy with his young squad. He's just brought in 2 decent signings. Wanyama from Southampton, which is good on 2 levels. 1, because it makes them stronger. 2, because it makes an opposing team weaker. You know, if you can buy from in the Premier League, you're hurting another team, which is always a good move. Same with, for example, Kante from Leicester to Chelsea. And Vincent Janssen, who they've taken in up front, the Dutch striker, looks to be a very industrious striker. Again, could take some pressure away from Harry Kane with some much needed goals. I still think Spurs are going in the right direction as a club, but I think the competition this year is going to be too much. I'm going to have them finishing in 6th. And now for the really controversial one. I've got Arsenal missing out on a place in the top 4 for the first time in a long time, okay? All the stats would suggest you should always predict Arsenal to finish top 4 because they're very, very good at it. But I think this is the year they won't do it. I'm going to put a slight disclaimer on this prediction, which is if they go out and do some business between now and the end of the window, bringing in perhaps a striker and a centre-back like Lacazette and Mustafi, then I'll stand corrected. I'll change my prediction. But in the time I'm making this video right now, they haven't strengthened their club in the way that their competitors have. I think Xhaka's a good buy. I think the young signing of Holding at centre-back is still a good purchase for the future, but their team right now is not strong enough. Koscielny is a great centre-back, but the centre-back next to him is going to be who? Mertesacker or Gabriel? I don't feel confident in that partnership. Likewise, they're relying on Giroud for goals up top. They need another striker, and as of yet, they haven't signed one. I don't feel that safe in predicting them a top 4 spot. I think they're going to miss out in Wenger's last year of his contract. Let's take a look at the top 4. So, you may be surprised by this, but I've got Liverpool finishing in 4th place. I think they're going to get in the top 4 this season, mainly because they're not competing in European football. That is going to be a massive relief for their fixture schedule. Last time they weren't competing in European football, they nearly won the league under Brendan Rodgers when they had Luis Suarez. They finished 2nd. Also, this is the first full season Jurgen Klopp's had as manager of Liverpool. He's imprinted his own kind of stamp on the squad now. I think he's going to feel a lot more confident. He's got rid of some people that he didn't see as part of the picture. You know, Joe Allen's already gone. He's probably going to be getting rid of Benteke as well. And he's brought in some really good names. Considering he hasn't got European football to offer, the people he's brought in are upper echelon. Matip is a really good addition at centre-back, a promising young defender. Yes, they've lost Skirtle, who's been Liverpool defender for a long time, but this is Klopp's Liverpool now, and Matip could be a Liverpool hero for years to come. I think Wijnaldum's a good buy as well from Newcastle. Didn't shine every single week for Newcastle last year. Obviously, they got relegated, but has potential to be very, very decent. Also, Mane from Southampton is another great buy. Just like Wanyama coming from Southampton to Tottenham was good because it weakened Southampton and they're a rival of Tottenham. You know, Liverpool have done the same thing. Liverpool have enjoyed weakening Southampton for a long time now. Obviously, they've taken Ricky Lambert in the past, Lallana and Lovren, and they've done it again. The likes of Daniel Sturridge could have more game time. He missed a lot of last season for injury. Liverpool are going to get a Champions League spot. That's what I think. The top 3 was really hard to choose, guys, but in 3rd, I'm going with Chelsea. Just like Liverpool, Chelsea have got no European football to distract them this season. They've got a brand new manager in Antonio Conte, someone that's absolutely smashed it in Serie A with Juventus, and obviously had a good time with Italy in Euro 2016. He's going to bring fresh ideas to a club that desperately needed them after such a poor season last year. Again, right now he's not gone out and made loads of transfers, but the 2 he's made could have huge repercussions on their performances. Kante in defensive midfield is going to be a revelation, I'm sure. If he finds any of the form he had last year for Leicester, that is going to push Chelsea massively up the table. And Batshuayi, the young Belgian striker, is going to add another really solid attacking option to Chelsea. And there's no way Eden Hazard can have as bad a season as he did last year. He's going to have to come good again. Chelsea will do all right. Now, the top 2 is where it got really hard. Obviously, I've got the 2 Manchester clubs left, and I kept going back and forth as to which one I thought was going to win the league and which one I thought was going to come 2nd. But eventually, I made my mind up. In 2nd place, I've got Manchester City. This was so hard to choose, guys. There's so many factors, but I think Manchester United are going to win the league over Man City. Here's why. Man City and Man United have both had probably the best transfer windows, right? Both new managers have gone out and strengthened their squads dramatically, right? City have got in some huge names. They've got in the likes of Gundogan. They've got in the likes of Nolito, Leroy Sané, who's a good player from Bundesliga. John Stones could be a huge player for Man City for the next 5 to 10 years. But I'm not convinced Pep Guardiola is going to be able to hit the ground running completely, settle into the Premier League overnight, and all those new signings, they're going to take time to gel. So I think he's going to have a good year, but I'm not sure he's going to win the league. They've improved their defensive options. If they're all fit, they've got 4 really good centre-backs to choose from, which is Vincent Kompany, Otamendi, Mangala and John Stones. A lot of people criticising John Stones, saying he's not worth 50 million. And, in today's market, a player's worth whatever someone's prepared to pay for them, to be honest. Yeah, he might not play the way a player that usually costs 50 million might do right now, but he's English, he's got 10 years ahead of him, and again, you're taking him away from a Premier League opponent, which comes at a price. I think it's a good buy. I think he'll probably do better than Raheem Sterling did in his first season, and I think a lot of people are remembering John Stones' performances in a bad Everton team last year, but before that, he was so solid for Everton for a long time. I think he's an exciting player, and I think it's a good purchase. And yes, of course, they've got Aguero, who, if he stays fit, is just guaranteed goals. And they've got some really good players around him. I think Sterling's probably the 4th or 5th choice winger now. In La Liga, Pep tended to get one over on Mourinho when they came head-to-head, Barcelona versus Real Madrid. But Mourinho knows a lot more about the Premier League. He's been here, he's done that, and I think he's going to beat Guardiola this season, although it's really tight. The reason I think Mourinho's going to do it is, for me, Man United have had the best transfer window. They needed it. Their squad was nowhere near as good as their competitors, in my opinion, at the start of the window. However, now it's completely different. I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, yes, he's on a ridiculous wage, I'm sure, but on a free transfer, what a signing. This guy's a perennial winner. He wins titles wherever he goes, and I think he's going to do the same for Manchester United. He's linked with Mourinho before when he was at Inter Milan, so they know each other. Mourinho knows how to get the best out of him, so that's a massive improvement to their squad. Yes, not as good as he was maybe 5-10 years ago, but he's still got goals in him. He doesn't need to be pacey to get the goals. He's just a technician. He's a talisman, okay? Obviously, they've got Martial again. They've got Rashford again. Mkhitaryan is a great signing, right? Mkhitaryan from Dortmund. He got so many goals and assists in the Bundesliga last year, and if he can replicate that form in the Premier League, he's going to absolutely smash it. They've done what they need to do. They needed more goals and assists from midfield. Mkhitaryan's certainly going to add that. Pogba is definitely going to add that. The new world's most expensive player ever. I back this guy. I think he's the sort of person that isn't going to be affected by the huge transfer fee. He just loves his football. He knows he wants to be a world beater, and now he's got the chance to prove it. In this Man United team, which can be pretty much built around him in the middle of the park, he will shine. Yes, you could say it was a terrible deal in the sense that Man United had him before, let him go for free, then had to pay best part of 100 million to bring him back. But it doesn't matter. Man United can afford it. You know, he represents a small percentage of the revenue they made last year. And that's why it's so frustrating when clubs like Arsenal don't spend the money, because they can spend the money. It's not like when a small team gambles all the money they've got on a player and it doesn't work out. Man United and Arsenal can afford to fail. They can afford to buy a player, lose money on him, aka Di Maria a couple of seasons ago, and move on with their life. You know, Pogba may not work out, and it won't actually matter, because Man United will still have the money coming in every single year. They've put their cards on the table, they've backed themselves, and I think it's going to get them a league title. We haven't even mentioned Eric Bailly, the new defender at the back. A solid addition from what we've seen so far. Looks like he's going to add more quality to the defence. Luke Shaw at left back is going to be like a new signing, because he pretty much didn't play last year at all. I'm going to go with Man United for the league title. But what do you guys think? You can vote on a poll on this video and tell me who you think is going to win the league title. I can only give you 5 options, so I've gone with the top 5 clubs that I thought are going to finish in the top 5 in my predictions, and you can choose one of them to win the league title this year. Have a vote now. Let me know what you're thinking. Also, before we finish, I'm going to go through the European leagues, the major ones anyway, and say who I think is going to win them. The Bundesliga, I'm giving to Bayern Munich again. Their squad is ridiculously good. They've added some serious quality players like Hummels and Renato Sanchez and others. I'm going to go with them for the Bundesliga title. In the Serie A, Juventus look very good. Yes, they've lost Pogba, but they bought in Higuain for 75 million. They bought in Miralem Pjanic, who's a solid midfielder. Dani Alves, again, there's more people they've bought in as well. I think Juve are going to be not only favourites for the Serie A, but they're going to do well in the Champions League as well. In Liga, I'm going to go with PSG again. Yes, they've lost Zlatan, but they've bought in some really good players. Kutroviak is a quality defensive centre mid. They bought in from Sevilla. They've got Jesse Rodriguez from Real Madrid, and their squad's already amazing. They'll be fine. And finally, for La Liga, any team that has Messi, Suarez, and Neymar is going to get my vote. Okay, I think they're still going to be too good for Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. They're going to get the La Liga title once again. So there you go, guys. They are my predictions. But what do you think? Is there going to be another freakish team win the league this year? I don't think so. I think it's going to be one of the big boys. But I could be wrong. That's the beauty of the Premier League. Not the best league in the world in terms of the players or in terms of the quality teams, but it's the best league in terms of competition and unpredictability. Leave me a comment below. Let me know whether you drastically disagree or agree with my predictions. I want to hear from you all. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more to make sure you don't miss any future videos. I'll see you when you're older. Don't go changing.